You look great.
I'm definitely in the top 2 handsome people in the photo anyway, right? Boom, we're back.
Hey.
Another episode of Squeeze the Neck podcast. Today I got with me my old mate, Big Jon.
Nice.
Pronounce your surname for me.
Jon Valgier.
See,
And it's ancient Icelandic actually. It means death spear.
Brilliant.
So
One more time.
Valgeir.
I would have definitely fucked it up, so I've got him back. But boom, Squeeze the Neck podcast. We are back. My friend today, 2-time world's strongest man competitor.
Yes.
From Iceland originally. Which part of Iceland, mate?
I'm actually, my family's from the West Fjords, which is very cool because there's a very rich historic stone lifting history in the West Fjords, which is very cool, and a very famous stone there. And to be from the West Fjords is quite an honor of the Icelandic standard, I would say. But but originally, I lived in Reykjavik most of my life. Seltjarnarnes is a suburb of Reykjavik, and it was really nice childhood there, and just discovered strength just along the lines, and went first into basketball, and when I was in basketball, I was sort of introduced to weight training, and when I got to there, I was just like, hey, this is
cool.
This is great.
Is basketball big in Iceland? Because Thor Bjornsson, he's a basketball man too, right?
Yes, absolutely, and he did really well in basketball as well, and he's got the genes for it, definitely.
How tall is he? 6 what?
6'9".
6'9".
Yeah.
How tall are you by comparison?
6'4".
Because you might not be able to see. We're sitting down, right? So the size difference. But my guy Jon's a big guy. How much do you weigh, Jon?
Weigh about 145 kgs at the moment, and that's just me sitting comfortably. But now, just trying to get my weight down, and I want to get down to 130. So nice and slim,
nice and skinny, light little frail guy. How dare you? Yeah. So we're going to get into sort of your numbers and your career and all kinds of stuff.
Yes, sir.
But just briefly, how big were you at your biggest?
I was at my biggest. I was 177 kgs, and it was just that was full on.
Yeah.
Like the sight of stairs wasn't a very amusing thing for me.
I bet. And what is that in pounds? 450-ish, something like that?
Yes. Well, no, not 450. 400 pounds is about 180. So.
All right. Okay. So a bit less. So sort of
less.
Maybe 390, somewhere around there. But big. Fucking. That's a big. And how old was you at this time?
28.
Is this a peak of your powers, or is it a bit later for strongman?
It was basically 2 or 3 years in, and I just kept going and kept lifting, and there's one thing I should have done more, and what I regret about is I should have rested more when I was younger.
Hey, shouldn't we all? Jesus Christ.
I was like, if something got heavy, then you just thought to yourself,
just try harder.
Yeah.
Just try
Push harder.
Because you've recently as well, you've had hip resurfacing, right?
Yes.
Which is from years of squatting the local cow and ox and tractor and whatever, I'm assuming, but we'll come on to it later. But
yes.
I was amazed when we went to show up today. I haven't seen you in probably, 6-7 months, something like that, maybe longer. And that was before you had the surgery. And you're walking around better than you were before already. So
yeah, it's amazing.
If you need new hip guys, we can do it nowadays.
Justin Cobb, he's your man. I mean, he works out of Charing Cross Hospital, and I got such a clean scar, and it looks great, feels great, and I think it's very much due to why I recovered. I was back here at work, by the way, 2 weeks and 1 day after.
Yeah.
I was feeling fucked, but it was just from the anesthetic and the medication and that kind of stuff. But I was back here and I could walk. I got myself out of bed when I was doing the resurfacing. The physios had gone home. I'm like, what?
Whoa.
I was just finished surgery, and they need to get you out of bed right away.
Wow.
They'd gone home. I was like sitting there going like, damn, okay. So I got some piece of paper, asked the woman for some exercises, and then I just started climbing out of bed myself. Yeah. And I did all the exercises that were on the paper, and she said the physios normally do these, and I was like, fair enough, I'll do these, and I kept going. I was always walking about. It was funny, me being the small man I am, sort of the little nurses watching me, please don't fall.
Yeah, right. They're used to like the 80-year-old grandma, right, that they can just pick up whenever they want, and they got you on the bed, they're like, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, exactly.
Get Susie over, we need someone else. But yeah, so let's go back, mate, from your childhood. You said you was a basketball guy, but start us off. When did your sports start? How old are you? What's going on?
That was basically the start of my career as a sports person. I was my stepfather was working for Apple when they were just Apple.
I was going to say,
yes,
Jesus
yes.
Christ, it was
Yeah.
like Apple was actually picking fruit back then, I think, right?
Yes, exactly, off the trees. And you know, we had computers, and we had computers in my home all the time, and that was my thing back in the day, doing some computer games and stuff. But then my mother decides to, you know, break it up a little bit for me and sends me off on a boarding school. And it was not because of behavior problems or whatever, but, you know, it just changed my views of things. And that's where everybody was playing basketball. And that's what I thought to myself, you know what, I can be good at this. And, you know, I just worked really hard and became, you know, all right at basketball, I would say. I wouldn't say I was very good, but, you know, I started playing in the major league in Iceland, but my career wasn't great in that perspective. But then I discovered weights after that.
What age did you discover weights?
So basically about around 20,
Oh,
23.
so pretty late in the game.
Yeah,
Is that
20,
late? Yeah.
20 late, yeah, pretty late.
Yeah.
So, but I always say, you know, allow yourself to grow first. And now that I'm training my son, I make sure he doesn't push himself unless it's a competition.
Yeah.
So I make sure he trains hard, but he trains sensibly.
Yeah.
You know, he's still 17. I mean, he started with me when he was 14, and yeah, he's doing really well. He's strong. He's explosive. You know, he can move for a 110 kilo person. He can move, and he's flexible as well.
Yeah, I've seen him because when he was 14, I think that was probably around the time I met you. And I remember you telling me your son had recently got into weights and whatnot. But I met him and he was still like a boy, right?
Yeah,
he was still a little boy, and he was, I mean, big for 14, but still a little boy. You talk to him, he was a kid, whatever. Whereas now I'm watching him on Instagram and whatnot.
Yep.
And he's moving.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know, it was. I mean, of course, the biggest secret to my son is that I used to take him always to the gym.
Yeah.
But I wasn't like forcing him at the time. And, you know, we did some fun stuff. I mean, we did jumps and, you know, all that stuff. And he sort of realized sort of along the lines, I was never saying, you must lift weights and become your dad. Never like that. It was just like, you know, do something that you succeed at, something you can achieve. And every time he did something, you know, I made sure to compliment him about it.
Yep.
And he recognized that feeling and became very, very happy about it.
Yep.
And then finally came at 14, and, you know, best day of my life. He came to me and said, Dad, I'm ready to start to lift. And I was like, yeah.
Could have been a different story, couldn't it? He said,
Absolutely,
Dad,
yes.
I'm going to be a dad. Shit, son. Lift some weights, the fuck? So that's cool. We'll come back to him later, and we'll drop his link below if you want how to see him, because he's a monster himself. But so take us on it, mate. First day, you found your weights, you're doing your thing. How'd you get into strongman or was it straight away? Did you find it?
No, the thing is, when I got into weights, it was just basically to lift weights and look good and pick up chicks.
Yeah, there you go. Now we all
Boom.
started.
And then you realized you got more looks from the dudes than you got from the chicks.
Whoa.
And I was like, what the hell? You know, you put on the size, man. Yes, but she is supposed to tell me that.
Yeah, I'm not interested in you. Where's your sister? Yeah?
Exactly. No, but that's the funny bit. And, you know, just, I want to look good. My friends were going like, yeah, we need to get to the gym and we need to look good. And, you know, and then I competed in the Mr. Iceland competition.
Okay, so bodybuilding is this?
No.
Uh-huh.
Beauty contest.
Woo-wee.
Yes. Woo-wee. Now, it was funny because one of my friends, she actually registered me for it. Okay. And as a joke. And I was like,
and you actually showed up. She registered as a joke. And you're like, well, fuck it, I'll go. Monday, I'll be there.
Yeah. And I rocked up, and, you know, just there was all sorts of practices and all sorts of stuff. And, you know, it was just like, just smile and wave, boys. Just smile and wave. It was an interesting experience. I got to know quite a few lads out of it, and, you know, it was just like, yeah.
And how big are you at this time? Was you always big?
Always, yeah. Well, like I say, when I was my absolute 8% body fat, I was still 100 kilos.
Yeah.
So.
And 6'4" still then.
Yeah.
You were already 6'4". Yeah.
Yes.
So you go from there. Did you win, Mr.
No.
No. So we didn't win. The disappointment of that, but never mind. We'll move on.
Yeah.
So from there, you go. When did you make the choice? I guess is what I'm trying to say. That you wanted to be a strongman.
No, the thing is, I decided to start training at Gym 80, where you know, it's a little bit more hardcore, because when I was started in you know, just looking good, and I was in world class, which is sort of the universal gym in Iceland, and it had all the goods. I was there and I saw this guy deadlifting 200 for repetitions, and I thought to myself, now I want to do this.
And that's kilos for,
Yeah, that's
for
kilos,
some
yes.
Americans that are thinking pounds. This
Yeah.
is real weights.
Yes. So I was looking at him, and I think to myself, that's very cool. That's strong. And so I started getting into that, and I asked him to teach me how to deadlift, and he did that very well. He was very encouraging. I asked to train with him, and that was great. And then I went to Gym 80 because I knew there were some beasts around there like Magnus and all the big guys went to Gym 80. And I thought, I'll rock up there and see what I can do. And one day I was deadlifting in the corner, and one of the strongman promoters comes in and says, "You should do strongman." And I was like, okay. So I rocked up to a competition, never trained strongman in my life, hardly knew what it was, except that what Jon Sigmarsson did some proper strongman, world's strongest man.
The famous quote,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
Jon Sigmarsson.
yeah. There's no reason to be alive if you can't deadlift.
Truer words were never spoken from a man. And was he still around at this point because he died young? Or
No, he was
he'd
not.
already passed?
Yes, sadly. I only met Jon Paul once, actually. And he had this little similar table like this, and we would he stacked bricks together. And I was only 12, and he would put as many bricks as he can. And I picked up a brick for my age. So I did 12 bricks, and I lifted them off.
And how's this working? You're squeezing them together,
yes.
And you've got to lift them up.
Yes.
I've seen this done, yeah.
Yes.
So this is cool.
So old school. It was pretty easy to set up, and he did very well. And there were some guys or men who did 16, so I was pretty happy with 12.
That's cool. 12, yeah. But he was one of them guys that he didn't look like a typical strongman, did he? He had the beautiful blonde hair, but he also had muscles. Like he looked like ripped and lean. He wasn't like, for example, someone like Eddie Hall, who English people might know.
Yeah.
Who, like he's a fat guy, right? I mean, he's strong as. I mean, he's muscle too.
He was definitely.
When he was strongman, yeah,
yes.
It's a bit different now. He's doing different training. But when he was at his biggest, he was a fat guy with muscle as well. Whereas Jon Paul was like Adonis, wasn't he?
He was absolutely flipping and phenomenal. And the thing is with Jon Paul, he also did bodybuilding.
Yeah.
So he would be 150 kilos.
Yeah.
And then 3 months he was stripped down to 116.
Yeah.
He was just like, he was cycling in the sauna and that kind of, crazy stuff. And, but, sadly to say, everything like that has price to pay when you push yourself to extremities. But
I believe he was only 32 when he died, wasn't he? Something like that.
Yes.
Which is
very, very, very
crazy.
Young. Yeah. Very young. Sad. But so that was, we normally, when I do strength trips, we normally go by, because it's in the way when we go to pick up stones, we go to, we'll talk about strength trips later, but we go to see his stone where he's buried.
And what's he like in Iceland? Is he like a big deal?
Everybody knows him.
He's like a big hero in Iceland.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. He definitely is. And of course, Magnus Magnusson, my training partner for many years, by the way.
World's strongest man as well, right?
4 times.
4 times.
Yes.
I undercut him there.
He was 4 times world's strongest man. Jon Sigmarsson was 4 times world's strongest man. Hafthor was 1 time world's strongest man. So Iceland has 9 titles. So the only country that has more titles is America. Slight difference in numbers of people.
Population, Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
How many was the population of Iceland, do you know?
375,000 approximately.
So it's literally about 1,000 times more people. For every 1 person in Iceland, there's 1,000 in America.
Yeah.
And it's pretty close in terms of how many strongest men. So make of that what you will.
Yes.
But so if we fast forward sort of a little bit when you're on your road, what was the first sort of big competitions you started winning, and how did you qualify for, as we said, world's strongest man?
We had qualifiers in Iceland. So there were qualifiers in Iceland, and it was the Iceland's strongest Viking. That was the qualifier for world's strongest man.
Is that right? Is that what it's called?
Yeah. So I got there, but Magnus was still competing at the time, and he was still, flipping phenomenal athlete. Like, he was so well. So us guys, we were, chasing to win or to beat him, but we never got there. We always got a 2nd place. But the thing is, if you got 2nd place, Magnus didn't want to compete, and so he sent us. He sent the 2nd place. Yeah.
And when did he win World's Strongest Man? What years? Do you know what they were? Or roughly, we don't have to be too specific.
So it's in the 80s, of course.
In the 80s, so before you was competing or doing anything. So he was already like a legend when you started with him.
Damn right. I mean, he had already won 4 times. Yeah, he had already won 4 times when we started training together.
Yeah.
So yeah,
because he was relatively small for a strong man as well. Am I right or am I wrong on that?
I mean 6 foot.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, so
Yeah.
which is for a strong man, you think sort of like
I mean half 36, 8,
6,
6,
6,
9.
9.
Yeah.
Yeah, and how much did he weigh, Magnus? Do you know in his prime?
120 to, I would say 120 to 135.
Yeah, so
Sort
not
of
big.
rocking
Like I
into
mean, it's a
no,
general big guy, but it's
no,
not huge, is it?
no.
And
But
he's
he
winning.
was immensely strong, and he was quick. And he was what was great thing about Max is he was very technical.
Yeah.
And he always thought about the events before he started doing
Yeah.
them. And he taught me that, don't settle for the stones on the ground like the loaders put them down. Go to the stones, set them up,
Yeah.
get him into
Wow.
good position. He would think about, like, for example, he would do the squat, and they would do a measurement of the depth, and he, of course, would place the bar sort of lower on his back, and then place it higher on his back when he did the actual squat, because that will shorten the range for this much.
Is that right? Okay.
Yeah. So
Clever guy.
he was smart. He really thought about every advantage that he could get. And for example, he taught me about the loading race. Always make sure you go to the platform with a plan, because when you load up a barrel on the platform, make sure there's room for the others. Because when you arrive with that last barrel and you have to start shifting around, pushing a barrel into another barrel, you're screwed.
So he looks at it like a sport, a
Yeah.
proper like technique based.
Yeah. Well, like I say, there's no question to say that as a strength sport, there's no such thing like more technical and more versatile thing like strongman in heavy perspective. Of course, we have CrossFit,
Yeah.
but we don't talk about CrossFit.
You wash your mouth out with your CrossFit bullshit. No, because a lot of Icelandic people have won
Yeah.
CrossFit games and stuff too,
Fair
right?
play. I mean, I'm all for CrossFit, but I think it's for athletes.
Yeah.
I think if you're a good athlete, you know yourself around the bar, you run correctly, and you can. For the public to come in and start the CrossFit, I think it's absolute nonsense.
Yeah.
It's the same thing with strongman. You don't start.
No.
But the thing is, strongman equipment is heavy.
Yeah.
Not everybody can lift that
No.
equipment. So you have to adapt and you have to go forth. What CrossFit does is you're teaching them how to snatch or power snatch or whatever they do. And when you just don't know about the bar path and you don't know how to, you're prone to injure yourself, especially when you haven't done anything else before. If you don't know yourself around the lifting bar, you're screwed. You're asking for it.
Well, I've had this chat with people on here before. It's like sports at a high level, when you push it, it's not healthy. Do you know what I mean?
No.
If you do if you play football on the weekends or you run or you lift weights, it's healthy to a
Yes,
point, right?
yes.
But then when you're pushing it to the level of lunatics like you, who's going to World's Strongest Man,
Yeah.
you go so far beyond. Like, we'll get into your injuries and stuff later. I know you've had the biceps and
Yep.
stuff, but you push it so far beyond anything that's healthy. And when you bring that to normal people and start pushing them to that degree, they don't need it, do they? They go
No.
into the office on Monday. Do you know what I mean? There's all kinds of bullshit that goes with it.
Yes.
And CrossFit as well, because guarantee you no CrossFitters ever took steroids, right? Wash your mouth out. How dare you? What did you say? Yeah, where was we? But yeah, so there's elements that go into it as well, isn't there? But
Yeah.
so let's go to your first World's Strongest Man, mate. Take us through that experience. Where was it and what did it feel like?
Now, it was in Malaysia, and I arrived from Iceland, where
Climate was about the same, right?
definitely. And you think to yourself, how am I going to move in this humidity and this heat? It was 40 degrees every day, and the humidity was, you could almost drink the air. And it was so crazy. Like, I was thinking to myself, what have I got myself into here?
And you're what body weight at this time? I know I keep mentioning
155
so
approximately.
a big man going across. And what's the journey like from Iceland to Malaysia?
It was at least, I think it was 10 or 11 hours.
And you're
on the
taking
plane.
150 kilos on
To
a
be
normal
honest,
plane.
fair play to World's Strongest Man. They did pay us great seats.
Oh, they did?
Yeah.
Okay, because that was my next thought. I thought, surely they ain't got you at the back of the bus sitting there.
They did well.
Yeah.
They did well of putting you in a good, business class, and that was
Brilliant.
very nice. And you could sit back, you could sleep, and I sleep anywhere.
Yeah. Oh, you're one of them. Can sleep standing up.
Yeah,
all that
almost.
Yeah. What year was this? Your first one, mate?
2002.
Okay.
Yes, it was an amazing experience. I arrived there, I was just alone, and I had no coach. I did some power walks and did something that Max just told me to do. And, I was, how do I, function in this heat? The amazing thing that was Mariusz Pudanovsky's first competition, actually.
Wow. Okay.
And,
I know quite a lot about Mariusz Pudanovsky just because he crossed over to MMA, right? And
Yes.
he started doing some fights.
Yeah.
And also when I don't know what age I'd have been. You can probably help me out more when he was winning, but he seemed to win it every year. And I know there's different factions and different
Amazing.
people say whatever.
To be honest, one of the reasons, I wouldn't say that was a free pass or anything like that. Mariusz, make no mistake, was an amazing athlete. He had the endurance, he had the explosivity, and he was strong.
Yeah.
He was not as strong as, for example, Sejunas Savickas, who I behold as the greatest strongman of all time.
Which I've heard before. A lot of people say he's the greatest, right?
Because the amount he won World Strongman 4 times, won Arnold Classic 6 or 7 times, and that's the heaviest competition on earth.
Really?
When he was competing.
Yeah.
So it was very, very, very impressive. And I competed actually in the Faroe Islands. That's in the year 2000. He was there.
Really?
First time. I beat him at Stones.
Really?
I lifted up.
Should have gone home at that point.
Yeah, I was like, yep, thank you, I'm out. No, I didn't know him. I did not know him at the time.
Where is he? Lithuanian, right? He's not Icelandic.
Lithuanian. I think that must have been one of his, when he was starting to get into it.
And what age is he? Is he similar age to you?
Yes.
Is he older? Okay,
Yeah,
he is.
Similar age. He might be a little bit younger, but yeah.
And Pudzianowski, going back to Pudzianowski, he's another one a bit like John Paul Sigmarsson, right? He looks like a complete monster. If you type him in, see what he looks like. Mariusz Pudzianowski, Polish fella.
And, I just remember seeing this guy who was sitting. When you sit like that, you always have a little bit of flab.
Yeah.
He had no flab.
Yeah.
I'm sitting there thinking to myself, how do you keep this low body fat and be in that condition?
Yeah.
I didn't understand it, but fair enough, fair play, flipping amazing.
Yeah. Right. And he's fighting Eddie Hall soon. Have you seen this one?
Oh, really?
He's got a fight lined up with Eddie Hall, but he's got a long MMA background. I know Eddie Hall's been doing some training.
Yes.
I think that might be a bad idea for our boy Eddie because, fucking Mariusz has really done this properly. So, good luck to both guys, but that'd be an interesting one to see.
Yeah, because like I say, just when Eddie Hall fought Hafthor in the boxing match, man, he didn't stand a chance, did he?
He started well, didn't he? He started well. I think he knocked Hafthor over definitely once, maybe twice. Yeah. But then it sort of turned around. And listen, 6'9" or whatever Hafthor is a big man.
It's a long reach.
It's a long reach, and both of these guys, they haven't grown up fighting. So when you start, and the reason I bring up why they didn't grow up fighting is to start when you've got that much body weight and try and learn to move and stuff. That's hard to do versus if you start when you're 12, like most people.
The thing is, with Hafthor, Eddie Hall was a swimmer. Hafthor was a basketball player.
Yeah.
You learn to move in basketball.
100%.
Yeah. You need to be nimble, you need to be quick, you need to be explosive in basketball. And I think basketball is a fantastic foundation for any athlete.
I do, yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm a big believer too, and tell me what you think coming from like training your son and whatnot. I think when they're young, I don't think you should specialise in anything yet. I think you should just train lots of different things.
That's
and
what
when
I
you
do.
get to sort of your mid-teens or your son's age,
Yeah.
that's when you start sort of knocking stuff out the way and focusing on. They say about Roger Federer. Apparently, Roger Federer played tennis his whole life, but he played loads of sports. He didn't specialise in tennis till he was 15, apparently.
Amazing.
And that seemed to work out for him.
Yes. I mean, if I look at like how I train my son, I train him in Olympic weights. I train him in strongman. I train him in powerlifting, and I just training him casual sort of, endurance stuff.
Yeah.
And just making sure that he's got an arsenal of everything.
Yeah.
And the thing is, what he does in competitions, he was competing. He never drops too far. I mean, he was competing against 18 grown men in his last competition, and he finished 7th to 8th for only one reason. We had never practiced shot put, and they changed the tire flip to shot put, and the shot put cost him 15th place. If he would have done the tire flip, he would have been in the top 5 and probably would have finished top 3 in the competition.
Yeah.
So absolutely smashed it.
Yeah. All right, mate, let's go back to Malaysia, you said.
Yes,
it was,
Malaysia.
Right? So take it through your competition, mate. How'd you do?
The thing is, it was great. I mean, I didn't expect. I started off slow, and it seems to be the theme of my the World's Strongest Man theme. I started off, all nervous and just like I was getting into it every time, and I was thinking to myself, what do I deserve to be here? You know, there was a lot of things in your head going around, and when you saw all these units walking around you, and you know, you don't realize that you're a 155 kilo unit yourself, but you know, just like you were thinking to yourself, this is happening, this is it. And yeah, did well, did finish all the Finkel fingers, which was first time ever trying them.
The what? What is this?
The Finkel fingers.
What is that?
Those are fingers that are from 220 kilos up to 300 kilos, and what you do is you lift them up and you push them over.
Okay, yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yes.
Okay, that's what it's called, is it? Okay.
Yeah, and that was very, very cool event, and not many finished the Finkel fingers, so I was pretty chuffed with that. And then there was the what's it called, the Viking press, and World Strongest Man decided, oh, we want to see your face, so they decided to turn you around.
So you're doing the Viking press the wrong way?
Yes, basically every time you practiced it, it was in front, right? And then suddenly it was somewhere going
some corporate
backwards.
Bullshit, that one, isn't it?
Yeah, I was like, fuck. That was quite horrendous.
We're getting wet. I'm just worried about the camera. Are you happy to stay outside?
Of course.
Yeah, cool.
Well,
Or you want to go inside? Whatever. We're just going to turn the camera around just so the camera don't blow up on us while we're doing it. If we put that there, I think we'll be good.
Yes.
We'll be good to go. Me and you can jump the other side of the table.
Sure.
Boom. There we go.
There we go. Change of scenery.
Change of scenery, guys.
Ladies and gentlemen.
Same but different.
Yes.
All right, mate.
Yeah, so the Viking press was a new thing. The Finkel fingers was a new thing. There was a farmer's walk into tire flips, which I thought I would be doing really well at. Turns out I was just nervous, and I completely blew the tire flips. They said to us, do not put the tires out of the track. And I was just continuously thinking, that was just ringing in my head, do not go over the track. And then suddenly, of course, when you manifest things, they start going straight off the track. And I'm thinking to myself, fuck. You know, I was just like all over the shop, and you know, there's just nerves, man. It was just like when you're on the highest stage of your athlete, you know, what your athleticism is supposed to be at. You know, you start evaluating things and, you know, thinking about it. I was sadly just nervous, but there we go. But it was good. Weight for height was also there, and that was great fun. I enjoy weight for height. Didn't do particularly well on that one. I should have done, normally I would have thrown at least a couple of inches, a couple of tries higher.
And what was is height for weight the one where you're flipping it over?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, and that was the single arm, 25 kilo weight.
Yeah, which doesn't sound a lot, but when you got it in one hand and you got to throw it, Jesus Christ, yeah.
Yes, and but the thing is, it's so funny when you're at that level, when your deadlift is over 300 plus, and you just pick up a 25 kilo weight, it just feels like a feather.
Yeah,
and it's such an amazing feeling. So anybody out there, just try deadlifting 300.
You heard it from Jon. Go to the gym, pick up 25 kilos and throw it as high as you can. See what the gym guys say. See what the manager says at the gym. You'll be fine. No problem. Big Jon told you to do it. And what are your numbers at this point, mate? In terms of like deadlift, squats, bench pressing, how heavy are we going?
Now, back in the day, my deadlift was around 350, 360. My squat, I never went higher than 270 on the squat. We didn't practice squat per se, which makes absolute sense to me, because if you are grinding out a heavy squat and a heavy deadlift at the same time, and our focus with Magnus was always the deadlift, because let's face it, strongman is about picking heavy shit up off the floor.
Yeah,
that's it. You know, you that's the most carryover.
Yep.
The squat, not so much.
Right.
So that was 260, 270, and then my bench press was at its very best without a bench shirt. I did 180, and then I did it with a bench shirt. I did 220 was sort of my highest, but it was gym numbers. I did a 200 kilo bench press in a competition, so that's my number. So if anybody says, what's your number, you can show that you did.
Is that okay? That's how it works. Yeah. Because I'll tell you what, going back to Sejuna Savickas, did I say that right?
Sejunas, yes.
Yeah, so when you watch, I've watched videos of him training.
Yes.
And he seems to do like a lot of 10 rep stuff, which I found was strange, but maybe you can speak to this more. He would do like squats with sort of I say moderate weight. It's like a moderate weight for him. It's probably hundreds of kilos, right?
Yes.
200, 300 kilos, whatever it is. But he's doing sort of 10 reps like bodybuilder style.
Yeah.
And the way I looked at it, and again, the reason I asked you is because it seems like he's almost looking at to look after his body, right?
Yes.
And the strongman training is his sport, whereas that's kind of, am I somewhere right with that?
Longevity.
Yeah.
Yeah, basically it. I mean, the thing is, if you're challenging yourself, if you got 1, 2 in the tank when you finish, that's enough.
Yeah.
You don't have to kill yourself.
Yeah.
But I did a lot of killing back in the day.
I think everyone did, but that was
Yeah.
the culture, right? And
Yeah.
like I'm a lot younger, but it was like even like when I started going to the gym and stuff, like 1 more rep and fucking,
Yeah, exactly.
and it ain't smart, it
No,
really, is it?
No. But I tell you one thing. First time I started to go into training, when I started training with Magnus Magnusson. Now this is about mindset, guys. This is surround yourself with people who are strong if you want to be strong. Surround yourself with people who want to fight properly. You fight with good people, right? Because you automatically level yourself up. I rocked up to first session with 4 times world's strongest man, and I thought to myself, this is it, you know? This is where you need to prove yourself. So I had done 200 kilo deadlift for 3 repetitions, is what the other guy had taught me how to. And Magnus asked me, do you deadlift 200? And I said, yes. 5 times. Yes.
Yes.
And first, you manifest it in your head, right?
Yeah.
First thing was, I said to myself, I could do it. So first set, I do 4 repetitions, and I've improved 1. And I thought to myself, you know, actually, there was more in the tank there. So I go for 5 on the next set. That's because Magnus went to 240 and lifted it 5 times, like it was 200, you know, it's just easy peasy. Then Magnus went to 260 and he picked it up 5 times. And then I got pissed off and I thought to myself, you know what, I'm gonna go to 200 kilos now, and I lifted it 8 times. So I went from 3 to 8 in one session.
And you didn't get stronger in that session, is up here.
Yeah, it was just mental. Just thinking to yourself, you know what, actually, I am stronger than this. And the increase of strength that happened because I was there with someone who was so much stronger than me, and because I wanted to get there and I wanted to be as strong as him, that was my main reason. But Magnus never said, calm the fuck down now. Rest for a week and come back. Because I was always there. I showed up to every single session, and we trained for 2-3 hours every single day. And when I had rest weekends, I would go outside and I would do strongman shit. You know,
Competition style stuff.
Competition style, like heavy weights. And there was no comprehension of, actually I need to rest. And then suddenly I found myself after, like, I went twice to the world's strongest man. Some new guys started coming in, and I'm thinking to myself, why am I not progressing? Why am I not progressing? And I was just fucking tired.
Yeah, doing too much.
Yeah, doing too much. And if somebody would have told me, you are doing too much, like you just said, calm down, get your rest in, make sure you do light weights, bring it down. But there was no such thing.
Yeah.
It was just like, don't be a wimp. Let's
try harder.
Yeah, try harder. Grind harder.
Yeah.
And,
what was a typical training week when you're sort of in this time? Like, how did you train? What was the day like? So if we wake up, we're Monday morning. Take us through like a Monday to Sunday sort of week.
So basically, at my best, and when I was eating the most, I would eat 5 meals a day, and then I was sponsored by a biscuit factory.
Is this legit?
Yeah.
You was actually sponsored by a real biscuit factory?
Yes. And they would send me like biscuits, and they would also send me muffins. And I would get the whole guys to come around my place, and we would eat a bag of muffins each.
Yep.
So that was like, when we were eating the most, I was like 12,000 calories.
A day.
A day.
Yeah, living that good life, son.
Yeah.
We should try that. We should do that for a video for the podcast. Me and you should sit down, go through a day together of 12,000 calories and see how far we get.
I mean, this is like this is what Hafthor eats quite a bit of, like 10 to 12,000 calories. It was mental, you know. And you put on size. The more you eat, boys, girls, bigger you get.
Wow, man, that's crazy.
That is
sure?
Yeah.
You eat more calories, you get bigger.
Yeah.
No doubt. Heard it here, guys. You heard it first.
Yeah.
So you're eating 12,000 calories a day.
Yeah.
And his nutrition at this point, is it just eat more? We're not
Yeah.
worried so much. High protein, high fat, high everything.
I mean, they were making fun of leaf eaters.
Yeah.
So that was just like
That was feminine, was it? Yeah.
Carbs and protein. That was
Just eat as much as you can.
Yeah.
Just keep eating. If someone offered you more food, just eat it. Simple
Damn
as that.
right.
Yeah. And what's the training day?
That was a win.
So if you wake up on are you having any rest days in the week or?
No, the thing is, I was working always in the mornings.
Yeah.
So I went to work, and I had this job from 8 o'clock to 2 o'clock, and then I just rocked to the gym after that and pushed through. I was checking food coming into storage.
Yep.
And it was great. The guys who have the food, they would bring me some food.
Yeah.
And and the guy with the eggs, he was the best. He would bring me like massive amounts of eggs. So that was the good stuff.
Uh-huh.
And some of the guys would bring me some meat. Some of the guys would bring me some this and that. We weren't allowed to take it, of course.
No.
I am allowed.
Yeah. So just eating like crazy.
Yeah.
And then, so Monday you finish work, you rock to the gym. What's that look like?
2-3 hours.
Are you doing body splits, full body parts the whole time, or what was going on?
I followed Magnus's plan, and we would do like an upper body session, like bench press or shoulder press, or very high incline. That would be sort of our sort of main exercises, and then we would do a lot of accessories, a lot of triceps, and there was just basic build up, and then we would do leg day, and then we do a strongman day. So that was.
And how many days a week are you training?
3 times.
Just 3 times a week?
Yeah.
Simple as that. Oh, wow. And just
Simple
so
as that.
most of your training seems like it's eating.
Yeah, it was literally.
Yeah.
But then when I got closer to strongman competitions, I had to, my cardiovascular, I would go in the mornings like 6 o'clock, and I would do what's it called? Spinning.
Mm-hmm.
Just to up my VO2 max. And then that's sort of helped me going and being able to do the loading events and that kind of stuff. So it was good. It was I enjoyed it, but the training was full on.
Yeah.
Every single time.
Yeah.
And there are guys who came and wanted to train with me and Magnus, but they lasted 2 or 3 sessions and then they were gone.
Yeah, that's enough of that shit.
Yeah, enough of this bullshit. Yeah. It's because we pushed and pushed and pushed, and Magnus never seemed to tire.
And how much older than you is he? What's the age gap?
It's about 10 years.
Yeah, so he's like a big brother / father to you in the gym, isn't he? So
absolutely.
You're following it. So you did World's Strongest Man 2002. Was the next one 2003 or was there a gap?
Yes,
It was
2003.
Yeah, take us through that one, mate. Where are we?
So Zambia.
I give you some nice cold temperatures for the Icelandics, then they fuck me.
Yes, exactly. So you rock up to Zambia and it was 50 degrees.
Yeah.
Like.
And how's this? Are you 50 degrees Celsius? For
Yes,
any, again,
Celsius,
this is not Fahrenheit.
No.
And what do you have to have like travel injections to go to these places and stuff like that? So does that fuck you up a little bit as well?
The thing is, I didn't think about it.
Yeah.
But I just thought it was the heat.
Yeah.
But
it can't help, can it?
No. I remember we pulled a train over the Victoria Falls. Phenomenal setting.
Yeah.
Right? So the camera goes over and you're pulling a train over a bridge and Victoria Falls is in the background, right? Looks phenomenal. But when I finished pulling that train, I was on the track and I thought to myself, this is the time I die. I felt my heart was going out of my body and just going to leave me. I said, that's it, you twat. I'm out of here. And but that was 50 degrees.
Yeah.
And it was so hot. I genuinely believe that the heat was just. I mean, in Iceland you hardly get to 30. I've one time experienced 30 degrees in Iceland.
Once
in my life.
Yeah, I mean we're in England, so like we don't get much above that here, do we? If we get to 30 here, it's a crazy day.
Yeah,
so,
absolutely. So yeah, it was. But that was the most interesting part. The best story I have though from Zambia is when they were sponsored by Metarex. You know Metarex?
Yeah.
Yeah. Food supplements, and they gave us all sorts of food supplements, and we had these huge bars, and it tasted absolutely horrible. And I was like, seeing the monkeys always coming into the restaurant stealing stuff, and so I take one of the bars, the Metarex bar, and I threw it to the monkey. The monkey grabbed it and opened it up like a professional, right?
He's done this before, yeah.
He's done this before. Opened it up, hump. he spit it on the ground. I
Yeah.
was like, yep, prove my point.
That's a
These
great
are
endorsement for
disgusting.
Metro X, that, isn't it? Jesus Christ. Yeah.
Well, I haven't seen them around. I haven't seen them in ages.
Yeah. They was like when I was starting to be a personal trainer, they was like not
The
just
main.
them, but they was
Yeah.
they was like one of the companies that was around everywhere. Like,
Yeah.
you know, there used to be supplement companies everywhere, wasn't it?
Yeah. But that was just the bars. Otherwise, I like the Metro-X, you know, all the other stuff. But the bars were absolutely horrendous.
So
I
eat the
think they
rest,
were,
but leave the bars.
yeah,
Yeah.
leave the bars.
Leave the bars alone. Give them
Yeah.
to the monkeys.
Yeah.
Yeah. But so how did that competition go, mate, in terms
So-
of 2003?
So I was finished third place in the heats, but the first two got to the final. So I got a quite tough group. Had Glenn Ross, it was Hugo Girard, it was Vasil Virstok, who by the way won the 2003. So he was in my heat.
And who won it in 2002?
It was Marius.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, he was
Mariusz Pudzianowski.
phenomenal.
Yeah.
Phenomenal. Like I say, just
And how big's he? Because he looks shorter, but he probably isn't.
yeah. Well, he is. I mean, he's about he's 6'1", 6'2".
Yeah.
Yeah.
So not massive guy.
No.
And
not
he
at
weighed
all.
what? 100 and what
25?
kilos? Is that all? Yeah. So yeah, a big guy, but not a fucking
Yeah.
not a freak.
No, but he was a freak.
Yeah, you
The
look at his
way-
body, as I said. Look
Yeah.
at him. He's a freak. He's
Yeah.
a freak. All
He-
natural.
And you know, it was great, all natural. Yeah, it was the crazy bit about him watching him. Like he did. There was like he was not in my heat that time, but he was dragging an anchor and a chain. And when everybody else died, he continued. And when I finally saw him slow down a little bit, it was like a turbine was switched on, and he went like, woo, and it just, the chain just whipped over the line.
Yeah, went to
Nobody
another
else-
level.
Yeah, absolutely. It was phenomenal.
Yeah.
It was fun to watch.
It's funny because when I was like, obviously, when I was a kid, the age I am, Strongman was on TV a lot, like terrestrial TV. Back then, like most people didn't have Sky and stuff. And the two that stuck in my mind was Mariusz Pudzianowski as I got a bit older, but the other one was a fella called, and you pronounce his name better for me, Jiko Ahola. Did I say
Yoko
that right?
Ahola.
Say
Yes,
again?
Yoko
I
Ahola.
fucked that up chronic, didn't I? But he won it, I think, 1999, because I was at primary school and it was big on TV and all my little mates, we was all watching it and whatever. And again, from memory, he seemed like a bit of a smaller guy too.
Yes, he was.
Yeah. How
He
big's
was-
he?
He was. I think he was barely 6 foot.
Yeah.
But he was so persistent. He was the most. How do you say it? He was like a diesel machine. Like
Okay.
there was endless drag. He was
Really?
just like chuck, 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 chuck. He would carry a farmer's walk when everybody else was dead. He would chuck past them.
Yeah.
Like he was amazing. Like in that perspective, it was just a phenomenal.
Did you ever
athlete.
come across him in competition?
No,
No.
never.
Was
I
he
did-
retired before, was he?
Yes.
Yeah.
I met him only when he was refereeing and stuff in some competitions that I did. So some of the foreigners. I think he was probably world's strongest man, and he was there.
Yeah.
So didn't speak to him a lot. Finnish guys are always funny. I did
All right.
I
Is
did
that a Finland Iceland thing, is it?
nakkana nukkana. Like Riku Kiri, he was one of the most strongest people on earth who never won world's strongest man.
Who
He would-
never won.
Who never won.
Right.
He would bench press 300.
It's a strong motherfucker.
Yeah. Like, and every time, and he didn't speak much English. So every time, Ricky, how's the shape? He would go, Benki.
Okay.
And that was just bench press. And that was it.
That was it. That's all you need to know.
That's all you need
Yeah.
to know. Bench is strong. Then
Yeah.
that's, and he was just like a phenomenal athlete, strength-wise. But Magnus always got him. He was competing at the same time as Magnus.
Right.
Magnus always got him because of speed and
Yeah.
wit.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was amazing. So he would maybe Rikukiri would win all the competitions until World Strongest Man.
Is that right?
That's when Magnus went.
Why is that? Was that like he couldn't compete on the day, or
Yeah, Magnus just dialed it up.
just turned it up on him?
Yeah.
Yeah. And what's the state of strong man now? Who's world's strongest man now?
I mean, Tom Stoltman is flipping phenomenal. Won 3 times
This
now.
the Scottish guy?
Yes,
Yeah,
Scottish
okay.
guy.
Oh, he's
Tom
world's
Stol-
strongest man, is he? I didn't realise.
3
Okay.
times, 3rd time.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
So at this level where it is today, that is the most phenomenal feat I've ever heard of.
3 times.
3 times. Because the weights and how it's set up is phenomenal. Like so heavy now.
Yeah.
Like it's some serious.
Is it at the best now, the strongmen?
It's can I say that? I would say it's more sort of standardized.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yep.
So it's more how it is. This is the event. It's this implement, yada yada. It's more sort of, back in the day, it was more of a surprise.
Okay.
What you see is what you get.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's certainly like World Strongest Man with John Paul Sigmarsson, they were floor pressing a log.
Okay.
They were dragging a sled.
So a bit more sort of like circus type thing, whereas like you show up and, hey, today you're going to lift this guy's bomb, where you go.
Exactly. Yeah. Stone lifts overhead, for example.
Yeah.
You don't see that much today because it's not standardized. And so, of course, they're trying to make it like a sport where everybody can compete with, but it makes it more like, almost like powerlifting.
Yeah.
Because it's standardized events.
Yeah.
It was more fun to see back in the day when they were doing all sorts of
They used
weird...
to pull aeroplanes and shit, didn't
Yeah,
they?
absolutely, yes. And,
back to, you pronounce his name again, Yiko Ahola.
Yoko
I was better that time, not great, but it was better. But I remember him pulling an aeroplane.
Yes.
And that was like nuts. Because I remember he was like bulging biceps, pulling himself on the rope. And, when you're 9 years old, you go, fuck, I know, this is the guy. This is the man.
Yeah. Magnus actually did that same pull.
Did he? Yeah.
Yes, I remember it because he had a big poster in his gym. And that was him pulling that plane. That was quite cool.
As you do, pulling a plane.
Yes.
Yeah. So what about? Can we talk about steroids in sport? Can we? Is that one?
Fine by me.
Fine by you. Tell us about that, because now I'm going to go out on a limb here and assume that some of the world's strongest men use steroids, but maybe you'll correct me.
Well, like I say, just some people don't admit to it.
Yeah.
Some people don't like to talk about it, and I mean, fair play to anyone. I mean, if you're at that level and you're pushing that hard, in every sport where there's competition at the highest level, you're going to find that somebody's going to be using something.
100%. And Dorian Yates, the famous bodybuilder, English guy, he said once, and anyone, if I'm butchering it, you tell me what he actually said, but he said something along the lines of, there was a study that he looked into that he'd heard about, where they asked, I don't know how many it was, say 100 top-level athletes, like anonymously, what your, if we could give you a pill now that was banned and cheating, you're guaranteed to win a gold medal, but you'll also die by the age of 50.
Yes.
And it was like astronomical, like 97% of them said they'd take it in a heartbeat, didn't even think about it.
Because you're dealing with people. Sport. Yeah.
You're dealing with people that are so competitive.
Yeah.
Most average people won't understand that, right? Whereas, like, they're not thinking that. So if they think they can get away with it, of course they're going to fucking take it. You know what I mean? And then they'll go on camera and go, I'd never take steroids. You know what I mean? But it's come on.
Yeah.
But you almost need to for health as well, right? Is kind of why I brought it up, because, like, if you're pushing yourself to that level, you're that big, you're that fucking...
What most people don't understand about these things is that it's about recovery.
Yep.
You do not get strong if you're going to just only take steroids.
No.
You have to work even harder, and you have to be even more dedicated if you're going to take them. Because you're going to have to work so hard that they will make a difference, right? So you can push yourself harder on steroids, and that's the thing. That's the main thing about it, and that's what most people think, that he took steroids and now he's just big. No, he worked his ass off. That's why he did it. And I always love the fact about the what's it called? Hello.
Yeah, man.
I always love the fact about what's his name, the guy on the bike.
Lance Armstrong.
Yes, Lance Armstrong. He said, when they asked him, why did you use steroids? Because he was on his bike for 9 hours a day and he needed some rest and recovery and being able to do that.
Yeah.
And it's true.
It's true.
Yeah, because else he could not do it.
No.
And lo and behold, everybody else was doing it. They just didn't.
Well, I had a conversation actually yesterday, one of the podcasts coming out with Marco Pasolini. Shout out Marco. He was a semi-professional cyclist. And we spoke a little bit about Lance Armstrong, not too in depth, but Lance Armstrong said something along the lines of, when he was thinking, he said he can't speak for other people. We said, but the culture of it at the time was, we got water in our cups, we got air in our tyres, and we got juice in our veins. You know, it's like it's part of the sport, and you have to. And I think, especially for a sport like that, like 9 hours a day on a bike, like go try that for 3 weeks straight and see how you feel.
Yes, exactly.
It is what it is, isn't it? And to me, Lance Armstrong, he won't be because of the steroid thing, but he should be looked at, to me, as along with like Tiger Woods, Michael Jordan, Maradona, all these, because in his sport, he was still the best, right? He was fucking, is what it is.
The thing is, it's not about who takes the most juice. It's about who makes the use of the juice. And that is about recovery, and that is about how you train hard.
Yeah.
And Ilian, the weightlifter, he did a 240. He blasted the clean and jerk record.
Yeah.
He owned it. He got caught,
Yeah.
and that's why he's not around. Nobody has come close in his weight category ever since.
Yeah. And this was in the 80s, right?
Yeah.
Bulgarian weightlifter we're talking about here. Is he Bulgarian guy?
Either Russian or Bulgarian.
Either way, Eastern European, same sort of system, that Soviet style thing. And yeah, he still holds the all-time record for the 80s. And he's not the only one. There's a lot in that sport as well, because they changed the weight categories.
Yes.
So they like adjust it. And again, anyone comment below if you know the specifics, but they changed the weight categories from, let's say, 97 kilos to 98 or whatever it was.
Yes.
So the records go away because of the drug taking culture and whatnot. But in reality, them lifts still stand today, 40 years on.
Damn right. And that's because that guy works his ass off, lifting every single day and getting his recovery right, and doing exactly what he was told.
Because that's the big thing with steroids, right? As someone, I've never took steroids or anything, so I know it somewhat from the outside, but from what I understand, it's recovery, right? So if you take steroids, it just allows you to train more, which is where you get the benefit. It's not actually on its own making you stronger.
No. That's the whole idea.
So again, we're talking sort of just round numbers here, but like if I don't take steroids, and I've got a twin brother who does take steroids, both training the same, he's just able to train, say, 2 or 3 times more than me.
Yes.
Which is where he gets his gains, because in a week he's getting 3 weeks of my training. Right?
Absolutely. Yeah. Yes. And the thing is, of course, when you do those and you are rushing things, your joints and stuff
tendency to pop.
Yeah,
because there was a thing with, I know people, and I won't mention names, but they've been on steroids, and I know multiple people that have popped a bicep tendon because of they're doing too much, and the muscles are recovering, but the tendons are not quite there yet, and it just snaps off the bone.
The thing is, I popped the tendon, but I don't blame that on any use of any sort, because what that was is that the tire that we were supposed to flip, I could place 2 fingers under the tire, and when you put 2 fingers under a 400 kilo tire and then you put full force on it,
it's going to be a problem.
It's a problem, because you have to regrip.
Yeah.
So what happened is that when I regripped, boom.
So when you're sort of chucking it up, you're getting like a pop up.
Yeah. So that's what tore.
Yeah.
And I thought to myself, you know what, that was the weirdest feeling ever. So it just went from here, and suddenly I just had this bulge here. So it was weird. That was a weird feeling. It didn't hurt.
Yeah.
It was just like a weird sensation.
Well, I've heard that before with people that have done that, and also the ACL in the knee, because once it pops, it's gone, right? So it's a sharp pain, quick, up, and then it's like, oh, it's done.
Nothing there.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's weird. But so tearing biceps was probably one of the most common strongman injuries, because they would have tires which weren't good enough.
Yeah.
So when you don't have a grip on a tire and you need to re-grip, that's when you're asking for injuries.
Well, I've heard that one as well, the switch grip on the deadlift. That one does you too. I've seen people pop the bicep with that one.
That's probably because they're too muscle bound.
Is that right? Is that why?
And they're not stretched. They can't stretch their arms out.
Yeah, okay.
But the funny bit is, like, when I was taken to medical check before World's Strongest Man, they asked me to put my hand behind my back, and I could almost reach my neck. And they could believe that a 155 kilo man could actually do that. So it's about flexibility, and you get that. And that's why stretching is important, people. Just you got to be able to move, or else if you get too muscle bound and you can't stretch, that's when you.
And it goes back a little bit to what we said before about not specializing too early, right? If you become too over adapted to one sport, your body stiffens up, and it is what it is, right?
Yes.
Do you know what I mean? Like, if you've ever been, I don't know if you've been around like a high level gymnast. Like, they're muscle bound, but they're flexible as you like. They've got the freaky little biceps. There was a guy, I don't know his name anyway, but I went up to East London Gymnastics when I was sort of in my mid-20s to learn how to do backflips and things.
Okay.
And there was a guy up there, he was like jacked. And I mean, he looked like a gorilla, right? But as he got close, he was about 5'2". So he was like, look, but he was incredible. Like, and he was like, he'd do flips. He'd do all kinds of one-arm chin-ups and iron cross and like just mad shit on the rings.
Yeah.
But he just looked like a specimen, do you know what I mean? Like athletic, like he could do anything with his body. Now, obviously, he wouldn't be great at everything, but his body was so sort of adaptable. He looked like if you threw him in any sport, he'd be able to sort of you know,
Yes.
maneuver somehow.
There's a saying in strongman. I'm going to be hated by powerlifters, but here we go. Not every powerlifter can become a strongman, but every strongman could become a powerlifter.
Oof, we're going to get some comments below with this one. Please comment, let us know if you agree. Some powerlifters just gone nuts.
No. The thing is, it's such a. You become used to these specialized movements, which is squat, deadlift, and bench press. Bench press is like we hardly trained bench press for strongman.
Yeah. Doesn't
Bench
make sense, right?
No, bench press is good for bench press.
Yeah.
But I always say to people though, bench press is good for activation of your whole body because you need to learn how to get into a bench press and you need to learn how to activate your legs, your glutes, your core, and you need to transfer that energy from your legs into the press. And that's one of the factors that I try to teach people all the time. It doesn't matter what level you are. If you can connect your lower body into a bench press, you're going to press more because you're activating. There's no point of being a V8 using only V4, right? There's only fire on 4 pistons, right? So you want to fire all the pistons to be strong. And hence why you get yourself in a position where you can deadlift, for example, you lock yourself in and you prep your body to be fully switched on before you pull. Not to make the pull, let yourself become fully activated because you're going to have to strain to do it. You got to do it before. So that's how you become strong.
So everything essentially is a full body lift, whatever you're doing.
For whatever you do, of course there are isolation methods.
And you've got predominant muscles, but even if you're bench pressing, as you said, you're still using your whole body.
Excellent. Yeah, that's what I always say to people. You know, get yourself into positions and make sure that you're activating, for example, like your lats. People don't realize how important they are in your bench press because you're pulling the bar down almost, engaging your back, creating stability. And then when your legs and your hips are also activated, you get a lot more power into the press. I know this because bench press has never been my strongest thing, even though I did bench press 180, which is all right in my standard. And I had to really work hard for it, really. So, and I just realized how to get into it, how to be better, how to be stronger, and you just had to feel it within yourself.
And what happened after 2003, mate? Was with you?
2003,
did you carry on?
Yes, I carried on for a couple of years, or no, 3 years, and then until I tore. And in 2006, my boy came along, and that was 2005. I was sort of just focused on that, and sort of after that, I started sort of getting it that life kicks in a little bit harder.
We're an adult now.
Yeah, absolutely. So it was that was so basically sort of getting back into it. Did a little bit of master competitions here in the UK actually. Went for London Strongest at Genesis Gym. That was great experience. Huge thing for me because it was very, very powerlifting based. Dave Bulldog, who's the owner of Genesis Gym, absolute champion. He was always, helping us to get stronger. I trained with him for a while, and also my friend Gert Kuvit, he was my training partner at the time, and it was very inspirational for me because my squat was normally okay, but I got really strong at the squat because the boys were always pushing me. And I have long femurs. My body's not made for squatting, as Dave says. You shouldn't really be squatting that. So, but deadlift was always my thing. Bench was all right. I enjoyed bench because I had to work hard for it. Squat was just like something I had to do to keep myself, in the game. And it was good fun. And London Strongest was squat, it was deadlift, and there was some heavy yoke and that kind of stuff. It was fun.
When did you come to England? Because you was in Iceland
10
when you
years ago.
Oh, not that long. Okay,
yeah.
cool. So you're here. Your boy was born obviously back in Iceland.
Yes.
And now is he Icelandic or is he English? What does he class himself as?
Well, he still classes himself as Icelandic.
Because I was going to say, when he wins World's Strongest Man, we're claiming him. Yeah, that's how that's going to go. So none of this bullshit about he was born in Iceland. He's one of us. But so take us through after that, mate. You're PT, obviously. This is where we met. We was in the gym together.
Yeah.
And what's the future goals and plans? I know you got your strength. What do we call them? Strength
trips.
Strength trips.
Strength trips. Valgeir Strength Trips is basically a company that I decided to make after everybody was asking me was it training in Iceland? How is your strength culture? And I thought to myself, why don't I just show them? So I have this niche thing. I take people to Iceland to experience the strongman gyms of Iceland, which are sort of legendary, and then we go and lift historic stones, and
Nice.
people just really get into that. And what's on top of it is that the nature around the stones is flipping amazing.
Is it outside in the? I've got a vision of like being outside in the mountains and
Yes.
like and it is that.
Yeah,
Man,
it is.
I might have to come on one of these trips one day and jump in. We'll have
Damn
to
right,
we'll have to do
yeah,
that, and we'll
yeah.
film some stuff maybe, and we'll do some podcasts out there.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That'd be fantastic. We'd definitely smash that because the surroundings are absolutely amazing, and the stones are challenging. You have to be strong, and the stones that we go to lift was used by sailors. So the sailors, you would come down to the beach and you would get 4 stones, and if you lifted only the first stone, you were just considered a weakling. Hence, the stone name was weakling. And,
Is that legit? It's
yeah,
called
yeah.
weaklings.
And you just go home.
And how much does a stone weigh? Do you know?
It's about 23 kilos.
Oh, okay,
Yeah,
cool.
so
cool.
it was
I thought you were
very
going to tell
light.
me it's like a 200 kilo
No.
stone. I was going to say Jesus
No,
Christ.
no. Then the second stone, 50 kilos, and that was 54 kilos. Then it was enough to get you on the boat, but
Yeah.
you wouldn't get much of the catch.
Right.
Second heavy stone was the half strong,
Okay.
halfsterkur, and you would get half a share,
Which is what weight?
100 kilos.
Okay, so serious weight.
Yes.
And this is dead weight with stones. So
Dead
if
weight.
you ever pick up stone, I've picked up a couple of stones, and they're not with you, but back in the day, just in gyms, lifting them
Yes.
up. And they're heavier than you think. They feel heavier than they maybe should be. But
Yes, because it's all about the dimensions,
Yeah.
and especially the nature stones that are, half strong, and those stones, you need the balance. You need to lift
And
them
to
a
get
correct,
round them
yes,
stuff too, isn't it?
correct way. Then there's full strong, and that's 154 kilo stone. I think the owner of the boat was like, just pick the biggest stone here. Not many people are going to get a full share.
154. And how do you have to lift this? Is it just
It was onto a plinth,
right? Okay,
back
so it's
in the
not just
day.
pick it up and hug it and
Yeah.
drop it.
but that's what most things are about today. It's about getting the stone sort of chest height.
Yeah, give it a cuddle.
Yeah,
and drop
give it a cuddle. And my son actually, when he was only 14, he got the half strong, which is
Nice.
a 100 kilo stone. So that was pretty cool.
And has he done the big one yet?
He's lifted off the ground that far.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's pretty cool.
That's
I
cool,
mean,
mate.
it's on my Instagram. So
Nice.
yeah,
That's
very
got
cool.
to be on my bucket list now to get to Iceland someday and lift the full strong.
Yes, 154 kilo stone, and it's about that one. The best way to lift it is to sort of be able to be flexible enough to be able to sit down and lift it up
Yep.
off the floor.
Get it up
So
there.
it's like it's the cradle position.
Nice.
Lifting it up flat is very hard because it's a giant pebble basically, and it's slippery.
Yeah.
And you need to.
Are you allowed to
would
chalk, or is that frowned
Yeah,
upon?
chalk.
You are. Okay.
Yeah, you're allowed chalk. That's sort of where it ends.
Yeah.
And there are guys who have used tacky on it, but there we go. We don't talk.
We don't
about
talk to them
tacky.
people. No.
No.
Fuck them people. Yeah. And what's the other ones in Scotland? The Dinny Stones, are they?
Yeah, Dinny
Have you
stones,
done them?
No, I have not.
Oh,
That's one of my
maybe
bucket
that's one
lists.
we should do. Me and you together should run up to Scotland
Yeah.
and lift us some Dinny Stones.
Yes, I mean handles are, of course, it's a different
Yeah.
lift, and you can practice that lift quite easily in the
Because I think they
gym
do
now.
records for time, right?
Yes.
It's like you hold it for a specific amount, or no, not for a specific amount of time, but for as long as you can.
Yes.
Yeah.
My friend James Crossley, he actually had the world record. In
The
that.
Gladiator.
Yes.
Is this the Gladiator?
Yes.
Yeah. Anyone
And,
that's my age or close to will know who James Crossley is. He was Hunter, right?
Yes.
From he had the wonderful locks and the muscles.
Yeah.
And he's not a London guy originally, but he lives in London. Doesn't he? I've
He
seen him
lives
in
in
gyms.
London.
I've met him a bit, and
Yeah.
I don't know him, but I've seen him around.
No, he's an interesting character, that's for sure. And he's fun to be around. And he did the world record. He held it for 35 or 6 seconds.
That's right, because I heard him on a podcast. That's how I know about the record,
Yeah.
and I think someone beat it since, right?
Yes,
Someone took it.
yes. The guy who had it before him.
Oh, come back
Yeah,
again.
yeah.
Oh,
Came back, pissed off,
yeah.
and
Done it again.
got it again.
Brilliant.
So, but it did come with a price. His wrists are not feeling the best, so he lifts now mostly with wrist wraps because he
Really?
needs to
Oh, it
keep
fucked
the
his wrist
support.
permanent.
Well, he says it definitely did something.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Because how
so-
big is he? He's a big guy, but he's nowhere near as heavy as you,
No,
right?
no. He's about 110 kilos.
Probably what, similar height to
Shredded.
you?
Yeah.
Similar height, but
Yeah.
a different build, isn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah. But he was, because he was, as I say, for anyone my age watching Gladiators, he was one of the sort of famous men with the Wolf Man,
Yeah.
and I think her name was Jet, the sort of
Yes.
heartthrob woman that was on it.
Yeah.
And you know, they was just great times, man, good time, because they brought it back, didn't they? That is why I bring it up. Someone said to me recently they trained with some of the new guys that are on the Gladiators
cool.
now. But you know, the old ones are always the original and the best, aren't they? Did
Yes.
you watch it, or was that
Well, it wasn't in Iceland.
right? So yeah,
I just heard of it, and I just saw it occasionally. I think when I came, because my family was here in the UK, I think I watched it a couple of times on TV when I was here.
because this was like, man, when I was like, I'm talking young, I would have been sort of, I don't know, like young kid, younger than 10, definitely younger
Yeah.
than 10. And it was on TV, and it was like, back then you had 4 channels.
Yes.
So it was a big deal. When this
There's
was
one
on,
channel
you
in
better shut the
Iceland.
fuck up and leave me alone, bro, because Gladiators is on, you know?
Yeah, one channel in Iceland when I was.
One channel.
One
That
channel.
was great, right? So it
Yeah.
was on,
So you were outside playing until Friday.
yeah.
So Friday you got home and you watched Tom and Jerry,
Okay,
and there was one more cartoon called The Lion,
okay.
and you know they didn't even talk. Neither did Tom and Jerry. So it was phenomenal. That was the two things. That was just like silence, everybody watching Tom and Jerry, and that one more cartoon, and that was it.
That's
So,
crazy.
Yeah.
And was English a big thing? Did you speak English growing up?
Yeah, of course. I mean, I spoke English before I spoke Icelandic.
Right, okay.
So
That's crazy,
yeah,
yeah.
because my father was English. He passed away
Oh,
when
your
he
father
was
was English,
yeah.
okay.
He passed away when he was when I was only 2 or 3 years old.
Where was he from in England, you know?
Norfolk.
Okay.
Yeah. So my family's up there.
Yeah, nice. Nice.
So we go up there every
Yeah,
now and
yeah,
then,
yeah.
and you know.
And your
meet
mother's
up with
Icelandic,
family.
is it?
Yes.
Yeah. So, because the reason I ask is that part of the world, meaning sort of, you know, your Viking, or the countries you think of as Viking countries,
Yes.
their English is normally better than English people's English, right? So, like of all countries, like I'll give you an example. If you go to Spain and speak to an English-speaking Spanish person,
Yes.
you know it's a Spanish person speaking English,
Yeah.
or a German, you know it's a German speaking. Whereas that part of the world, unless you listen closely, you go, where's he from, that
Yeah.
guy? Do you know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah,
it passes as perfect English, doesn't it? And do most people grow up speaking English over there?
Nowadays, I mean, it was a little bit like, you know, just back in the day with older people, there was no TV with English language almost,
yeah,
and
right.
so I don't think that English was that strong back in the day. You would find people talking English,
yeah.
but not to
Right.
the point. But when I was growing up, most of the teenagers and everybody was speaking English.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, that's how it was, and I don't think there's any sort of, you know, like animosity against people who don't speak Icelandic in Iceland. It's
Really?
just like they just feel terrified that they can't speak proper English.
Really?
So, yeah.
Which is mental, yeah.
Yeah.
Because like I barely speak English and I grew up here. Do you know what I mean? Like people call my accent. Sometimes people slow me down because of my accent. So like, okay, you got no problems, man. But what's the future hold, mate? Are you English now? Are you staying here?
Yeah,
One of us?
we're staying us. We're staying here definitely. We just want to continue building up strength trips.
Yep.
And you know, we're doing a third trip now, and there has been one private trip, and there's been which actually didn't go to Iceland. I went to Sweden,
Okay.
which was phenomenal. Sweden has some phenomenal historic stones
Yeah.
there.
Really?
So
Okay.
yes, like I wouldn't believe there's so many in southern part of Sweden, all over the shop. There's so many stones.
Wow. Okay.
So that's phenomenal. And you know, Iceland, I love Iceland. Southern part of Sweden, it's beautiful. I'm like, something about these rock countries. You know, it's beautiful,
Yeah.
absolutely beautiful there. Southern Sweden, Iceland's West Fjords. You go to the West Fjords and you think to yourself, am I at the end of the world?
Yeah.
Like the westest part of Iceland is where we go on a full strong trip.
Okay.
Now, full strong, what people who don't know, full strong trip is basically when we lift all the famous historic stones in Iceland, and they are really, really, you know, they're a great challenge, and they're in remote places, and the locations you seeing there, people hardly live there, and it's amazing. It's a phenomenal thing. And then we go to where we lift the Lautra stones, and there's a woman there, and she invites us all for coffee afterwards. We had catering, proper catering after, and I never met this person in my life, and she invites us all, and you know, just most of the guys are big as the house that we walked into, right?
Yeah.
I had to duck down to go through the door.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Yeah,
So
crazy,
it's amazing. Like, Iceland hospitality, you know, people are friendly, and yeah, it's fun.
Yeah, nice. And what's the plans with the strength trips, mate? Are you looking to grow them and go
Yes,
more and more?
I want to do like starting to do some winter trips, and we might want to think about another place than Iceland because of the weather.
Yep.
Frozen stones are not easy to lift. Just so
Even
let
better,
you know.
separates the men from the boys.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, that's really interesting. So we might even go for how do you say it? Like a warmer location, but we'll find some historic stones.
Nice.
So yeah.
Nice.
Like
How can people get in touch with you if they want to sign up to a strength trip, man?
Well, www.valgeirstrengthtrips.
Brilliant. We'll put all the links below and the Instagrams and all that kind of stuff. But before we wrap up, mate, I can't let you go without talking about football. This is what we do now. We've kind of got into this little habit of bullshitting with people. Who's your football team?
It was and probably still is, because I don't follow football, Manchester United.
So for the viewers listening, we'll bleep this bit out, and he just said Chelsea, and we'll stick with that one. But Man United, really? Why? Why Man United?
Because when I was younger, they were the team. They were the team, and my cousin, he loved Liverpool.
Well, I mean, I like your cousin even less.
Yeah,
So
yeah. He loved Liverpool so much, and I thought to myself, if I can compliment Manchester United, I can give him more shit.
All right, cool. I got you. Well, we'll get that bit out, and we'll use a basketball man. Is there a basketball team you follow in the States?
Of
by any
course,
chance?
Chicago Bulls were
Very
the
good.
team.
That's my team. When I was growing up, Michael Jordan was at his pomp, and they was the team. And of course, internet wasn't really a thing, so you'd see it every now and then.
Yes,
it was hearsay, right? But
amazing.
We'll call you a Chicago Bulls fan, and we'll bleep the Man United bit out, and we'll go from there. But no, jokes aside, mate. Is there anything else you want to add where anyone can reach you before we finish up?
Like I say, just we also have products on my page.
Perfect.
So we have wrist straps. We now have belts.
Yep.
Which I, are very, very happy with. And then we have straps, and these are special locked-in straps. And then we also have hip circles and knee wraps. Nice. So I sort of lifting-based products. So that I've tried out myself, and I, just used them to test on my son and myself. And then when I'm happy with it, I sell them.
Nice.
So that's pretty cool.
And how about training people, man? Can people train with you?
Can
they get in touch and train with you online or in person?
Both.
Both. Nice.
Both.
Perfect.
So, but like I say, I mostly train over sort of here in the gyms. But just if people want to do outside, that's absolutely fine.
Perfect. And we'll put all the links, as I say, in the description below, mate.
Yeah.
But until then, thanks a lot for doing this, mate. I appreciate you.
No, that was great.
Fist up like this one, my mate. Squeeze the Neck podcast. Boom. Nice. Top man. Thanks a lot, man. Appreciate you. Great to see you.